Touchdown passes last year. This one's knocked up. Bowers tips it to himself, and he'll score.
Snaps it anyway. Greer lobs it in the air. Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts-Jackson, and he scores on the last play this year. Here's a blitz, and Klubnik didn't see it coming. He got blasted by Kalen DeLoach, who has the ball and is heading toward the end zone.
How is everyone doing today?
Ooh.
It is episode 64 of the College Football Talk podcast here with Hunter and Dylan. We are back after a long hiatus, but we're back.
We're back. We're
Ready
excited
to
to
talk
be here.
Some college football, as we always do here. Make sure you
Yeah.
guys are subscribing and watching us on YouTube with a big thumbs up, with a like, and hitting us up on Spotify as well if you can't watch us on YouTube.
Yeah.
We got a good show for you guys today. We're going to talk about the news with the college football playoff expanding again, because why stop with 12 when you could keep going?
Yeah.
We're going to go with our SEC tier rankings. We're going to start that as a mini little series. So we'll do SEC this week, heading into whatever conference we decide on next week.
Yeah.
And then our sleeper teams going into next year to round out the episode. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys are subscribing to the pod, because we are trying to boost those numbers up as we head into the summer days, as we get closer to spring football. I guess that was a bad twist of words right there, but
I don't think I wasn't that bad, but
good. Well, we're getting the rust off here.
Yeah.
We shake off the dog days of winter, heading into the spring. We got spring football practices already starting. Baseball's kicked off.
Yep.
We're back. So
back in the full swing of things after kind of a quiet month or two there.
For sure. But listen, when can't go on for too long. There's always got to be something.
Yeah.
Volcano can't stay dormant forever. Well, I mean, it can, I guess, but it doesn't. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about the college football playoff, because earlier this week, the playoff committee, as well as all the other league commissioners, agreed on the expansion of 14 teams starting in the fall of 2026. This goes because with the new TV rights deals and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So it'll be the 12 teams starting this year. Next year will be 12. And then starting, like I said, fall of 26 will be the 14 teams. The layout has not been announced. But as far as just getting a deal done and some work of like what to expect, it will be 14 teams.
Yep.
My initial thought is I'm not really a fan of it. I mean, listen, I love football.
Yeah.
I love it till the day I die. I always like watching football, especially playoff football.
Yeah.
But, there's a difference between, like, I feel like in my mind, like in the NFL, where you had the 16 teams, they might have busted it. Actually, I think it's 18 now.
I think it's 16 now.
Because they added the 7 seeds.
I think they took it from 14 to 16.
Okay, so it's 16 teams, somewhere around there. Now, like they play the long schedule, regular season. Well, in football, college football, we're about to hit 12 teams, but now 14 teams. These guys are only playing 12, 13 games.
Yeah.
Then you kick right into, the playoffs. This is really going to start a, diminishing.
I think we're going to get diminishing returns. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
My main thing is I think they're going to have to start getting rid of college or conference championships.
Yep.
Because either I know we've kind of mentioned this before, but it's going to kind of be like college basketball, where like some of these teams, let's say like North Carolina, for example, basketball right now, they're the 1 seed in the tournament, in their conference tournament. They're going to be a 1 or 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. They play NC State tonight. To the grand scheme of things, it's a useless game.
Yeah.
In a sense for North Carolina, because they could lose by 150. They're still going to be in the tournament.
Yep.
Everything's fine. It's going to be like these teams. This is how I think, if they still have conference championships, let's just take, I don't know, freaking Ohio State, for example. And let's say they're 10-2, 11-1. They get into the conference championship. Why would they care if they're playing a team that
they're playing Iowa?
Yeah, let's just say they play Iowa. Iowa goes off and they find offense for some reason, but everywhere else is a bad down year for the Big Ten, but they get it. Who cares if Iowa beats them? Because Ohio State's going to be in anyway. So they might just rest everyone. It might treat it like a preseason game. Get reps in for everyone else. You're going to diminish the value of that. You're diluting the regular season.
Yeah.
Because it kind of goes hand in hand with that. Because if you're Georgia, let's say, you could lose these. I mean, the diluting of this regular season is going to result in safety nets for these big boys because they could lose 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
And they'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're going to have, there's going to be the elite teams, like the handful, like the 8 to 10 teams are going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be now we're going to be fighting over who should be the 13th or 14th best team to get in so that they can get in.
We're going to have a conversation. Should Oklahoma or freaking Iowa State be in the playoff? And it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Mm-mm. I mean, it's like in college basketball terms, like with these bubble teams, they want to expand the tournament from 68 to like 80.
Yeah.
And you do that, you're going to get into a spot where you're going to be just arguing over the bubble line of 17-16 Georgia versus in freaking, I don't know, let's just hypothetically say, I don't know, Oregon State is like a 15-17 team. Like, what are we doing? You can't be doing,
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a complete dilution of the, not just the regular season, but the sport in general to me. My biggest fear of this is the idea of potentially exciting matchups meaning nothing. Like hypothetically, like a conference championship of Texas versus Georgia, right? 2 high weight, big name teams with big rosters, both ranked in the top 5. Who, no, they both go. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter because you're both in.
We could just rest all our players. So next time when the games really matter, nobody serious.
Why would you risk injury?
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, the SEC championship turns into from one of the most exciting and important games of the season to a snooze fest that doesn't matter. It's worse than a bowl game.
Imagine if we had the 12-team playoff, let's just say for this past year.
Yeah.
And all that went into stake with the Florida State debacle, Georgia-Alabama game.
Yeah.
That Georgia-Alabama game, which was one of the best games of the year, a clash of 2 Titans going at it, would have meant nothing.
Yeah.
Because Bama could have beat them on a last-second field goal that was hit from 85 yards out.
Yeah.
Hypothetically. I don't know. Just making up stuff. But they would have been both in. And congrats if Bama got a higher seed because, Georgia.
Yeah. Bama's at the 4 seed. Georgia's at the 6?
Why would you – it's just – this is why I do think they're going to end up having to get rid of conference championships because why would you waste your – why are you wasting your time with a meaningless game? That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And I really haven't thought about how it's going to affect like these group of 5 teams. I had a little thought like the other day when I was watching something about this topic, and I'm just thinking about should they just create their own tournament setup where they play their own like thing,
national championship.
Yeah, for like the group of 5 because I mean the group of 5s aren't ever going to have a spot at the table at this point. I mean, you know what I mean? Even if all these conferences diminish into these 2 super conferences, there's still not going to be any room for them.
Yeah.
They're better off almost joining forces with like the FCS teams and just playing a big tournament like that.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like it's like I feel horrible for them because they just agreed to it, by the way, to the playoff, which they shouldn't have. If you were smart, if you were the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, you more or less just signed up for the fact that all your teams will never do anything.
Well, like in the SEC and the Big Ten are getting about, I think, 58% of the money revenue,
Yeah.
and then and then the ACC and Big 12 are getting 32,
Hmm.
and then whatever I think, and then Notre Dame I think as well. But
Yeah.
you know, but that was what like the SEC and the Big Ten like they pretty much like cornered everyone else into
Hmm.
saying, listen, you better agree to like what we want, or otherwise we're leaving. We're out of here.
Yeah.
And they ended up coming up to a decision. I mean, can you imagine you're the ACC of the Big 12, and you are like you're aware of the fact that you're going to get significantly less amount of money back
Yeah.
to you, but you still go ahead and do it because you're trying to keep everything together, even if that means you're not going to make as much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy the fact that this is what it's come to,
Hmm.
and it's all money.
Yeah.
It's
It's all money. I mean, that's the only reason there's more games at all.
and it's never going to
Mhm.
stop, in my
No,
opinion.
they're going to keep adding more games. More teams, more games.
They're gonna. I bet inevitably we won't be at 14. They'll be at 16. And who knows, we might get to 18 and just play 8 games in the regular season.
Just wait till the top 25 is the 25 teams making the playoff.
I mean, we're going to get to a point where it's like youth football.
Yeah.
When you play like 8, 10 games, and then there's like a 16 team bracket.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it's going to come down to.
And I think it's horrible for the sport. I legitimately think this is like one of the worst things that could have happened to college football, and we can't do anything about it. It's like something I would have in like a video game, dude. This is not something I would ever want in real life.
No. And it's
But-
because the people that are doing this, it
Mhm.
goes have no intentions of actually like looking out for the players who are playing on the field,
Mhm.
the fans who love the sport,
Yeah.
and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to just go to you guys.
Yeah.
And you don't look out for the overall just atmosphere,
Hmm.
like the game itself. They don't
Yeah.
care about any of that. None of them do.
Hmm.
They are not. None of them are serious about college football. They only are serious about how many zeros can you write on a check.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
because there's no commissioner. There's
Yeah.
no sole.
There's no governing
power-
body.
No governing body that can be like, hey, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You can go to New York and go see what Adam Silver, the NBA, Roger Goodell is doing.
Mhm.
And you can go knock on their door and you can go talk to them. You can't do
Mhm.
that. Where are you going to do that? In
Yeah.
NCAA. So, when you do that, you just leave it for a bunch of hungry, money grabbing hyenas to go out and just start attacking. And
Yeah.
then when people, were tired of the BCS, those guys all came together and said, let's come out with a way where we can just make a lot of money,
Maximize our
but we need a
profits.
cool, catchy name for it. And let's call it the playoff.
Yeah.
And people were happy about it. And we came out with 4. But then people wanted more. So,
Mhm.
and that's because sports marketing and all that and the media shoved it down our throats saying we need more than 4.
Yeah.
4's not enough. So then
Four's not enough. Four's not
so
enough.
we
Four's not
skipped
enough.
6 and 8 because why
Yeah.
stop there? Let's just go to 12. And
Yeah.
we haven't even got to spring football after agreeing on 12. And now we're at 14.
Yep.
Like, where does it stop? It doesn't stop because they keep making money. You're just going to keep printing out money? Perfect. We'll just keep increasing ticket sales. We're going to increase concession stand sales. We're going to do
Yep.
all that because we can do that.
Yep.
We're going to, there's no stopping it. There's no end in sight.
It's really depressing, actually.
It is.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's the future of the sport. I mean,
if you were in charge, what would have your number been?
8.
Okay.
It would have been 8. It would have been before the Pac-12 died. It would have been 5 conference champs, 1 group of 5, and 2 at-large bids.
See, I don't even like the at-large. I mean, at-large is fine. I don't like the automatic bids.
I like the automatic bids only because it adds weight to conference championship week. So, like, it makes those championship games, it's like, okay, well, if I lose this game, all of a sudden, I'm really, like, I'm struggling. There's a good chance that my great season is over.
See, I think you just take the top teams
Mhm.
that are ranked.
See, I think the only problem with that is the human factor of it. Is that when it comes to voting, unless the college football playoff was voted on by people who were
Well,
like
that's what they did
universally,
for the 4 team forever.
no, it was the worst group of people you could have voting.
Well,
It
that's
was
because,
like,
again, you had a bunch of old, archaic people in there.
but not just that, it's just that there isn't really like a set of qualifications to get that job. You really look at the resume of a lot of those people. None of these guys have even played football. They're all just athletic directors for random schools.
Well, a lot of them are athletic directors for teams that are in the hunt.
Yeah.
So that's biased right there.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know. I
if
just don't like the thing of automatic bids and, these qualifiers. Like, I'm all for, like, that larges and stuff.
yeah.
But, like, automatic bids, I don't know. It just feels like,
I just feel like if it's just like all at large, you just have a massive like effect of where the bias comes in, where like a team like Alabama could underperform, but because they're Alabama, they're like, oh well, it's Alabama, slot them in at 5, even though really they're like the 9 seed in
if
real
they are
life.
doing automatics, let's say they should make it just the 4 automatic, 4 auto. I mean, put 4 auto or automatic qualifiers or auto
Hmm.
bids for, like, the Power 4. Do
Yeah.
1. I mean, do 2 for the group of 5. We'll just split 2,
Hmm.
but then you got to choose which conferences are getting those ones.
Yeah.
See, I think if you're doing automatic bids for the group of 5, it needs to be the 2 highest ranked group of 5 teams.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. That's what I.
So that's 6, and then you have 8 at larges.
Hmm.
That's how I would look at it as far as
Yeah.
bracket setup goes. I mean, I would do, I guess, the first 2 rounds are on home campuses,
Hmm.
and then the next because that would be the first round, and then you push it to the quarters,
Yeah.
right? And then it'd be the semis, and the
Mhm.
championship are the bowl games, or
Yeah.
no?
The semis are
Hold on.
the 4 semi games.
Let's see. Hold on. So we got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because the first and second seeds would get buys.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. Hold on. We're just playing around here. Yeah, I like how they agreed on something and didn't even come out like the format.
Yeah, no, that's
Because that's the next
gotta
smart,
love those guys. Those guys really have a good plan for the future of a billion-dollar industry.
right?
And they
Yeah,
agree on a plan without making the plan.
because that would make too much sense.
Yeah.
LOL. Hold on. Any other thing you want to talk about with this topic?
No, I think we
Too
covered everything
frustrating.
there. I mean, it's just frustrating in general that like this sport is run by people who have no idea what they're doing.
Well, that's going to continue to happen until they actually want to put a stop to it. Somebody came out and said, for all the good that Greg Sankey's done, like, how much is he a part of responsible for the destruction of it as well?
Oh, he is absolutely one of the largest catalysts to the expansion kind of guy. You know what I mean? I mean, he was the one pushing for Texas and Oklahoma to join the SEC.
Yeah. Well, they did. So,
yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to a fun new segment we're going to play. It's called SEC Tier Rankings.
Oh, yeah. This is the fun part.
Yeah. All of the good stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Perfect. Everyone see the screen.
Yep.
We'll go SEC Tier Rankings here. See if I can move this. Nah. All right. We're just going to get rid of that for now. And we're going to have here so we have our Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5. So Tier 1 is the elite teams. So we're looking at 10 plus wins. We're estimating. We're going to Tier 2 is a solid teams. These are 9 plus wins.
Mm-hmm.
Tier 3 are the bowl bound teams. So we're looking at probably like the 6 to 7 or 7 to 9 win teams.
7 to 8, 9.
And then Tier 4 is 7 and under. We'll call it like 7 being the max, like underachieved. And then trash, possibly just might be Vanderbilt. So
Yeah.
we'll just actually.
You could just be. I mean, we both agree on that right away. There's no conversation about that one. It's very easy, very simple.
Although
Vanderbilt's
I do
gonna be
have
bad.
an index card somewhere.
Mhm.
I think it's right here. And believe it says Vanderbilt's over-under for wins this year is 2.5. So I will be adding that to the clip whenever that comes out.
I think they'll hit the over.
Yeah, we could pull up the schedule, and they play some out-of-conference games that they better hit. No, that's no pressure there, Vanderbilt, Clarkley, and all the gang. But let's hit that. Anyway, all right. So, Dylan, do you want to start in Tier 4 or Tier 1?
I think we should start at Tier 1.
Okay. So, elite teams being 10-plus wins. These are conference title contenders, national title hopefuls.
Yeah.
Who do we like there?
Personally, 2 teams stick out right away for me. I don't know about you, but I immediately am looking at Georgia and Texas as my elite teams in the SEC right now. How do you feel about those?
I like them. I think they are the top. I think they have the top. They're 2. I know Georgia has the leading favorites to win the title. I think Texas is like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
We'll confirm here in a second. But yeah, these are the 2 teams. I think just roster-wise, what they added into the portal and the recruiting, plus what they have coming back via mainly the quarterbacks.
Both these teams have elite quarterbacks coming back for their second year as starting quarterback. I mean, what is not to love? Well, I guess for Texas, third year for Quinn Ewers, but he didn't really get a full season. Last year was his full real season.
So Texas has so Georgia has the best odds to win it all. This is via Hard Rock Bet. Shout out our Florida Seminoles. And Texas at plus 750, that is the third best odds only behind Ohio State at plus 450. So, yeah, like we said, these are the 2 teams that are the elite. I think coaching-wise, I think they're 2 of the top coaches with Kirby Smart and Steve Sarkisian. I would put Georgia ahead of Texas in my rankings.
I agree with that.
Only because of what they've done over the past 3 years from a sample like that.
Yeah.
But I do like where Texas has always been going up. And but I do think this is a big prove-it year for Texas and Oklahoma, just because new conference, especially for Texas, the expectations is competing for a national championship. You got close last year, but now you're in a new conference. They have a easier schedule than especially than Oklahoma, but than most. So they have a more of a friendlier schedule as far as where they have to go on the road. You get Florida, you get Georgia at home. Your toughest road environment, I think, is Arkansas.
I think their toughest road game is actually A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is that. So, like Arkansas and A&M are your toughest places. Because you get Oklahoma on the neutral site.
Yep.
So you get everyone else really at home. So they luck out there. I mean, because you're Oklahoma has to go to LSU. I know they have to go to Tennessee. Or no, Tennessee has to go to Oklahoma. One of the 2.
Yeah.
They have a much more difficult schedule. I know Bama has to go to Oklahoma this year, but Texas avoids Alabama. Your toughest game SEC-wise will be Georgia.
Yeah.
Everyone else they should take care of.
You get Georgia at home, though.
Yeah, and you get Georgia at home.
It does make it a slightly, less daunting.
I know the line came out for that one, the early line on FanDuel. I think Georgia was a
5-point favorite, I think.
2.5.
2.5? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was guessing 5 just because it's Georgia. The early lines tend to be large, too, for Georgia.
It would have probably been closer to that if it was at Georgia, but being in Texas, probably you lower the line.
God, that Texas, I would not enjoy being in Georgia in that spot because that Texas heat is brutal, especially since they don't have AC in their visiting locker room.
Well, listen, you got to make sure they're all treated.
Yeah.
Let's not act like Georgia. Let's not act like Georgia's not bringing all the necessary equipment needed. These guys.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're not, but going to DKR is not fun for a visiting team.
No.
But
all right.
Moving on.
Moving on, though, we're going to move on to our solid 9+ wins. Do we? Yeah. So, or I guess final thing, is there any other teams 10+ wins do we like? Ole Miss, do we like them there?
Yeah, I was gonna say Ole Miss is the only one where I'm sitting and thinking probably. I think they'll win 10 games.
I'm gonna put them at solid, but the
Yeah.
top team in solid, and
Yeah.
only because I need to see the big win from Kiffin. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. No,
You
that's a
have
completely fair thing to say. Yeah.
you have all of the transfer talent coming in. You have your returning quarterback who's a dark horse for the Heisman. You know,
Mhm.
you lose Quinshon Judkins, but I think you'll be able to replace him.
Yeah.
But you retain Trey Harris on the outside. You get Juice Wells coming in from the portal. You got guys, and I really like this team a lot. I think they're going to be a playoff team for sure. They'll be a dark horse run for the SEC.
Mhm.
But I need to see. I haven't seen Kiffin win the big one yet.
Yeah.
He's beaten LSU. He's beaten Auburn. He's beaten Tennessee. He's beaten A&M, but he hasn't been able to beat Georgia or Bama yet. And so we'll see what he does this year. But I'm going to put them as the top team.
Yeah.
I think we both agree on that.
Mhm.
Alabama, we're going to put here.
I agree. Alabama's there. I wouldn't put them as number 2 though in solid.
Okay,
I
who would
actually
you put there?
LSU at number 2 in solid.
Why?
I personally like a lot of their returning talent. I like Nussmeier because I think is going to be pretty solid this year as their new number 1 QB. I just question Alabama with the amount of transfers they've had go out, a brand new coach who operates pretty far from how Nick Saban operates. I think it might be a little bit of a mixed bag. And
Yeah.
Alabama kind of has a tougher schedule too. They start off the year with Georgia.
Well, they start off the year at camp. They go to Camp Randall at Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Let's not forget that one. And then
yeah,
they have Georgia.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a rough time for the first couple weeks for Alabama. So that's why I put LSU over them. But I still think Alabama's be good.
I would lean Bama ahead only because LSU has they lose their starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing a bunch of weapons on the outside with Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. You have a brand new defensive coordinator coming in, Blake Baker from Missouri, and a new staff on that side of the ball. You're losing a bunch of guys on the D line. So there's a lot of new, and yes, same thing with Bama, but with LSU, they had a Heisman winning quarterback last year and still only won 9 games, didn't even make the playoff. They didn't even make the SEC title game. I need to see what I'm getting from LSU before I actually rank them ahead of Bama.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Bama from a perspective of, they did get a couple nice recruits. You retain Jalen Milroe, you retain some of those running backs you have. So, they have Justice Haynes, who's going to have a big year. I like Bama more than LSU. That's why I put him there. But I would put LSU just behind him. I really like Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's going to be really good. You saw him in the bowl game. You saw him in the SEC title game a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I want to see. I want to see what LSU looks like with this new defensive regime coming in.
I like the defensive regime they're bringing in too.
I do too.
Especially since Missouri really played well with a lot of, not to just discredit Missouri, but less than most SEC teams when it came to defense, talent on that defense. They really outperformed that. So I think LSU's defense will be much improved, but obviously we won't know yet.
For sure. So that's why, I just want to see what I get. Now, if LSU comes out next year and just dominates on defense, or even plays,
we'll see. They'll be playing a top offense
so bad.
Year.
They were so bad statistically and just on the field. Like, if they just played mediocre, they would have been competing for a national title last year.
Yeah.
So if I can just get average defense out of them, I'm all in. And especially if they get good quarterback play on that side of the ball, I'll be all right. But so I'm going to put Bama ahead, but I'll put LSU just behind them. A team I also think can get added to this list is Missouri.
I was thinking Missouri too.
So even with the losses they had defensively on that side of the ball, they replaced them really well. Eli Drinkwitz coming back, again, but coming off an 11-win year last year, it was best year You keep Brady Cook around. Luther Burden's back, who's arguably the best receiver in football.
Mhm.
You lose the experience with Schrader behind in the backfield, but I think they're going to be all right. They
Yeah.
avoid playing Georgia, Texas. They play Bama. They play Oklahoma too, but I think that's really it.
Mhm.
So, they don't have to play the crazy team, the top elite teams we have, but
Yeah.
so their schedule's decent to start the year or throughout. I think this is a sneaky team to compete for the playoff. I think this is a sneaky team to possibly be the out of nowhere team in the SEC.
Yeah.
Especially if they beat Bama, I really don't see there's a whole lot of other teams. Can you
That
see my
could
screen
be.
right now, or is it still on the
I can see
list?
your screen. It's still on the list, actually.
It's still on the list?
Yeah.
What about now?
Yeah, it's still on the list.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Okay.
I was just because I'm typing up something.
Nope, you're good.
I was just typing up Missouri's football schedule or their schedule.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Because I just wanted to see. So, they have Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College. Then they get their SEC teams are Vanderbilt, A&M. They get UMass right there between them and Auburn. And then they have Bama, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. Oklahoma and Alabama.
Yeah.
They go to College Station, which can be a tough one. But other than that, nothing too crazy for me. So
yeah,
that's
I
why I
agree.
like him right there.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot for him.
All right. Any other teams we think in the solid 9+ win tier? What about Tennessee? Do we like Tennessee there or no?
I put Tennessee at 8 wins.
Okay, so
I don't think they're
8?
yeah. I think they're bowl bound, but I don't think they're solid solid, yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. They brought in a bunch of guys. They brought
They
in some
got
guys.
I want to
And
see
now
what
you
they
have
have
the
because
you do have Nico
Nico,
coming in.
yeah.
He looked really well against Iowa, and Iowa, no matter how bad Iowa is offensively, defensively, you're going to get is really
He's
good
some
defense.
of the best in the country,
And
yeah.
they shut him out and beat him 35-0. So I'm gonna
I want to
sneak them into the 9 spot.
Okay, you know what?
At
That's
9
fair.
is 9. I'm gonna put them at best 9+.
Yeah.
9 wins. I don't see 10. You know what? Because what did we say? Bowl bound is what?
It's 7 to 9.
All right. So yeah.
Yeah.
Only because here I'm gonna update this so people that see our list are like, "Whoa, what is this nonsense?" I'm gonna be like, "Hey, told you." 7 to 9 wins. Hold on a second.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, well.
Oh.
Whoa, wait now. Okay, here we go. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
So Tennessee is gonna be the top team. Yeah, we were
I
saying.
agree with that.
I think 9 wins is the best case scenario for me, in my opinion.
I think you're being really. That's the best way to describe it because I think they have talent, but Nico is going to be really his first time starting. Obviously, he started against Iowa, and Iowa has a great defense, but he's going to be going into SEC environments for the first time as a starting quarterback. I think they're going to have some struggles. I think it's good. I think they're going to be a good team, but just being honest, they're not on the same level as this.
They have
above them.
So you get Chattanooga at first, and then you have a neutral site in Charlotte against NC State, which is no cakewalk because NC State, the pack gang. Kent State, but SEC play-wise, you're at Oklahoma, you're at Arkansas, you get Florida at home, you get Bama at home, you get Kentucky at home, you get Mississippi State at home, you go to Georgia, and then you are at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So, they get some of their big games at home, which is good. So, the toughest road games will be Georgia and Oklahoma.
I think they would lose both of those games.
Well, they'll lose. They'll lose the one in Georgia.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is a toss-up because,
we got to see. We have not seen Jackson Arnold throw a ball yet. So
we saw him in the Alamo Bowl game. Played well, turned the ball over a couple times. Didn't win, but that's a new quarterback spot there too.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be Josh Heupel's return to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But I think the stretch for them will be the Florida, Bama, that home stretch, that 4-game home stretch where they have Florida, Bama, Kentucky, and Mississippi State will be a really good tell where we're going to finish. because
Oh,
even
he
if
did
they go
not play well
3-1,
against.
I mean, they could go 3-1, and I mean, I think they're gonna beat Chattanooga. If
Yeah.
let's say they beat NC State, that's 2-0. Kent State's 3-0 at Oklahoma. Yay or nay?
Yeah.
We'll say yes. 4-0.
Okay, yeah.
Arkansas
Yeah.
5-0. Florida, we'll say 6-0.
Mhm.
Bama, we'll say they lose. That's 6-1.
Yeah.
Kentucky, I think, is 7-1. Mississippi State
Yep.
8-1. I mean, there's a chance they could go 10-2 here.
There's a chance, but I still don't think they're on the same level as the teams above them.
So
You know
they're
what I
going to
mean?
lose so in this path, they could go 10-2. But
Yeah.
the toss-up games will be the NC State game, Oklahoma,
Mhm.
and then I think that Bama Tennessee game. That Bama
Yeah.
game. So
Because I think I legitimately I just personally think about it like this, right? On a list format like this, I don't see a team in the solid tier losing to Tennessee on a neutral site. I think all the teams in front of
Sure.
them would win
Yeah.
and win convincingly. Which is the
Yeah.
only reason why I would place Tennessee below is because I don't think Tennessee is on the same level as those teams right now.
I agree with that. I mean, I do
So-
think that, those 6 teams right there would beat Tennessee.
Yeah. So if I was going to place Tennessee on solid, I would want them to be somewhat on equal footing, but I don't think Tennessee's on equal footing yet.
No.
Maybe they will when the season starts because I really want to see more of Nico before I have a full opinion on Tennessee.
For sure.
But I would not say that right now.
All right. So our next team in this range, I'm going to put A&M.
I agree fully with that. Yeah.
I think that, with with Connor Wegman's going to be starting.
Mhm. Yep.
You have the new coaching change.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they got some guys.
I can't remember his name either.
No, you're all good.
Yeah.
You bring in a bunch of guys defensively. So I like that. They do have to replace a lot of the guys. Mike Elko will do a good job doing that. I full-heartedly believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
You saw what he did at Duke with that talent. Just imagine what he can do now with A&M. It may not be pretty the first year, but I think you give Elko a full recruiting cycle again, everything else, they'll be all right. If A&M can just figure out a quarterback consistently playing the position right, this team will be fine. And I think you might agree with this. What is A&M's biggest Achilles heel every year? Is inconsistent quarterback play.
Yep.
I mean, it has just killed them
Mm-hmm.
year after year after year.
And I think with Mike Elko, you're getting a guy who can slow things down a bit. Because I think the reason the quarterback play has been so inconsistent for them is they always have poor offensive lines every year at Texas A&M. They always have really poor offensive line play, which in turn makes their quarterbacks play incredibly erratic.
Yeah.
Where you'll see a game where Connor Wegman looks incredible. The next game, you're like, yeah, let's bench this guy for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike Elko is a guy who can hopefully, for A&M's sake, build up those guys, get those guys like actually blocking. Because once you get that, I think A&M's probably in the same caliber as talent as Alabama, Texas, and Georgia. They have this as good of athletes every year come into that school.
Money wise, they do. They
Yeah,
have
that's
every
what I'm saying is
resource available.
They've been recruiting on the same level.
And if they can just get the quarterback play down, and I need better consistent play out of the secondary, they're going to be fine. They always have really good defensive line, good linebackers, but the secondary got torched last year. It's going to need to be a play better.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, I really think this could be another sneaky team. I don't think they're going to be looking at 10 wins, but you could be looking at realistically for A&M, I think 8-9 wins is always the goal. At least right now this year. I mean, they may just blow expectations out of the water.
Yeah.
But I think a good solid, 8 to 9 win year is something that I think A&M fans would be okay with for this year.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
They should be happy.
Our next team I think we can add in this list. I'm Kentucky,
go with Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay, yeah,
I
Oklahoma.
think Oklahoma's going to win like 8 games this year. So
Their
I think
over
they,
under I think is 7.5.
yeah, I think they win. I think they take the over. They win 8. Um, I don't think they'll beat Texas. I think they'll struggle for a lot of their like
I mean,
road
Oklahoma's
matches.
schedule is just.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know
it's
who
not
chose.
fun for them.
I don't know what they did to Sankey, but I mean, they
They
are.
were,
You have
yeah, Oklahoma.
Tennessee at home. You're at Auburn. I mean, just the road games alone are at Auburn, at Ole Miss, at Missouri, and then at LSU. They get Bama
Mhm.
at home. Then they have to play Texas at neutral site. South
Yeah.
Carolina. I mean, just brutal. And they have to play Tulane, and Tulane is
Yeah.
never.
That's not a fun game to play.
No.
You know you're going to be in a 4-quarter match with Tulane every single time.
And John Summerall, who took over that job, he comes from Troy. Always has the boys ready to go. So
Yeah.
they got a little tricky little schedule. It'll all depend on how Jackson Arnold plays. I think the
Yeah.
defense is going to play good. Brett Venables, this will be his 3rd year. If Jackson Arnold can play well, consistently play good in his 1st year,
Mhm.
they will do well. If not, if he just plays our average football, they will be a 7-win team, 8-win team. So if it'll all depend, I think, on how he plays. And will the inexperience get to him being in a new conference and having to go on the road to some of the more crazy environments? That will be it'll either be a really big wake-up call or it'll be a nightmare. So I think we can put Kentucky in this category.
I think so too.
Kentucky's
I think
the model of consistency for bowl bound.
Yeah, I think there's 2 teams that need to go in bowl bound was Kentucky, and then I think Auburn should be in bowl bound.
Yeah. I think
Because-
Auburn's a sneaky,
Yeah,
stir up the pot here.
yeah, no, I agree absolutely. I think Auburn is a team that I think their ceiling could be up to 9 wins if they play their cards right.
It'll all depend on. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not a believer in Peyton Thorne.
No, me neither.
And they're sticking by him. They got some nice receivers for the
Yeah.
recruiting, and maybe a 2nd year with Hugh Freeze will be a big a helper. I know they just got who did they take? I think they got some guy from I think Ole Miss, like a top coach, to come
Yeah, they
over
did.
there. So they got what's his face's name? Because he has a. Oh, it'll come to me at some point. But they got him to come over. He's an assistant, but they'll use him offensively.
Mhm.
So that should help out. I mean, it'll be interesting. I know they have. I'm going to pull up their schedule here. Let's see here. They have to play. They get Arkansas at home.
Yep.
They have, Cal comes to town. ACC Cal. Let's not forget. Put some respect there. Oklahoma
Classic
comes to town.
ACC-SEC matchup.
They go to Georgia, at Missouri, at Kentucky. Then they get Vanderbilt, and then they get A&M. But then they have Auburn, or they go to Bama. So, I don't.
Yeah.
I need to see more from Peyton Thorne. He was not very good last year.
No, he
and
wasn't.
the fact that they still went 6-7 last year. Honestly, I honestly remember looking at bowl games, and I was like, wait, I didn't know Auburn was 6-6. So the fact that they got the 6 wins with that quarterback play baffles me, but kudos to them.
I mean,
and that
Hugh
comes
Freeze
with
knew how to use them.
that comes with losing to who was it?
New Mexico State.
Yes, the Aggies. Yeah, I mean, so that even comes with that. So again, if they can get somewhat consistent quarterback play, I need more quarterback
I think
play.
they could be good.
Yeah, and maybe it'll help that you don't have Robbie Ashford, kind of breathing down the neck of Peyton Thorne. It's not splitting roles. You're not doing 50-50. You never know if you're going to get a lot of playing time over the other. You go in now as the sole guy, so maybe that helps out the guy mentally. But again, I just need to see more of it. If I do, they could be a sneaky team to compete, in that solid, that 9-win range. But for now, put them at the bottom of the back end part of bowl bound. Kentucky, Brock Vandagriff comes in. Stoops will have a good, solid defense. They'll have a solid
Mhm.
running game. But if Vandergrift can play well, and I think he can, comes from Georgia. He was going to be the guy probably if Carson Beck left. But, Vandergrift goes to Kentucky. They get some other guys. They got Jamon Dumas-Johnson, who is also from Georgia at the linebacker spot. So they'll have a solid defense. They're going to be a solid team. But,
yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you.
they're never going to be a team, though, that, you're like, expecting to do like overachieve. They're always like that, just the standard line is what Kentucky is.
Mhm.
So, but that's why, you put them at the back end. I don't see them. They won't beat Georgia. They couldn't beat Texas. I don't think they'll beat Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They can't beat Bama. They might compete with LSU. Don't see it. Missouri, no.
I don't see it.
But like these teams that in this category with them that they can compete with.
Yeah, no, I think Auburn can meet any of the teams in the bowl bound tier.
All right.
Now here's the unlucky 4.
Yeah. So the unlucky 4 will all go in this 4th tier.
Yeah.
Now ranking wise, because remember we're going like the front, we're going in order of like how we assume these teams.
Yeah.
I gotta think South Carolina's the top team.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I would say South Carolina is the top, at least with Shane Beamer. They have consistency. They know what they're getting. They know the kind of play they can get from him. They know that he's going to get you decent quarterback play.
They do bring in Rocket Sanders from Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think, because if you watch like how bad South Carolina was, Spencer Rattler played solid.
Mm-hmm.
And because you look at what he's doing now at the Pro Day and how well he was. Luke Doty, or they brought in Robbie Ashford too. So I don't know who's going to be really starting that job. It may not be pretty. Hopefully they turn things around. They did deal with some injuries. Most of the year, Drew Wallace was banged up. Xavier Legette couldn't carry all the load himself.
Yeah.
By the way, whoever gets Xavier Legette in draft is a lucky team, because that man can speak like a Southern boy and play football like one too, because he is a bad man.
Yeah.
He made any defense he played look like a fool. But, like you said, Shane Beamer, what you see is what you're going to get. You might get a couple upsets, and just don't expect anything crazy out of them.
Yeah.
They peaked, but they need to find more consistency. They had that big peak year, not last year, the year before. Yeah. And then just kind of went right back down.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what they do. I think, what's a good estimate, 6-7 wins?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's it. Best case scenario is a 7-win season.
Yeah. I think our next team.
I would actually, I don't know if I go Mississippi State, actually. Only because they have a brand new coach. You kind of really don't know what they are right now. So
I would put Florida at that next spot. Only because, Mississippi State, you're getting a new coach, yes. But he's never coached before.
Yeah.
So, you don't know how he's going to respond. And especially, it's always interesting to know, what kind of, especially when your first head coaching job is in the SEC with Jeff Lebby, who comes from Oklahoma. He's the OC there. He was at Oklahoma or Ole Miss, I think, before that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, this as good as anybody. Look at Billy Napier. Your first SEC coaching job can either be really good or it can be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
So, that's why with Florida, you bring back your quarterback, Graham Mertz, who played okay. He played solid last year.
Yeah.
You lose guys on defense. You lose running back Trevor Etienne. You lose Ricky Pearsall, your top guy. You bring back, Eugene Wilson comes back. He doesn't go in the portal. He stays. You bring DJ Lagway in and LJ McCray on the defensive side. And, it'll all depend on, their defense has to play better significantly. they still, I mean, even when they improved from the year before, they were still like 80th in the country as far as total defense goes. Offensively, they just won't be able to stack up, I don't think, against some of these other guys. If Graham Mertz can stay healthy and play decent enough, they will do okay. But just talent-wise, from a coaching on versus coach standpoint, Napier falls behind significantly. I mean, they play the toughest schedule in FBS this year. At best, in my opinion, 6 wins is at best.
I think that is a very that's a really good year for Florida if they win 6 games.
But Florida fans being crazy and delusional that they are will not accept that. They want 8 wins, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so Napier, I don't even know, Napier is going to have to beg and plead for another year. But he's going to be calling the plays still.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Listen, if you're going to if you have any idea maybe that this is your final year, go out the way that you want to go out. You know what I mean? So don't change it. And then last minute, keep it with you. If you're going to go down, you're going your way, you're going to go down, going your way. So, but with Mississippi State, I go right behind them. Like I said, new coach, new system, similar system actually back to what like Mike Leach did. It's going to be more spread, air raid. Going to get away from what Zach Arnett was doing last year, or not Zach Arnett. Yeah. Where he went, they try to do more like a standard, like more run heavy offense. Not going to be doing that. We're going to be spreading everyone out. We're going to go, 4 wide, air raid. Let's air it out. Don't expect a whole lot out of Mississippi State. Just is what it is with them. And then Arkansas, Arkansas is kind of similar spot with Mississippi State, underachieving. They keep Sam Pittman around at
Which
coach.
I think is a mistake.
But you lose Rocket Sanders, and quarterback wise, we'll see. They couldn't really do much with KJ Jefferson, so. But maybe getting outside of what KJ Jefferson did will help them. I don't know. Maybe it's just a new start for whoever takes on that spot. But we'll see. We'll get a good idea through spring ball and then going into fall. But I don't expect a whole lot out of these 4. Any team ahead of them will beat them, in my opinion.
No, I
that
think
just
so.
is what it is. And then Vanderbilt, we already talked about them. So
I don't think Vanderbilt will win a game in the SEC this year.
Well, we never know.
Yeah.
All right, so those are our SEC teams. Dylan, think we got them all right?
I think we got this list really good.
Yeah.
I think we did really good on this list.
I 100% agree. I mean, I don't see why somebody would disagree anyway.
I mean, I think there's a couple somebody might disagree. I would imagine there's probably a few people out there who think we have Missouri too high or that Oklahoma should be a little bit higher. Or Alabama should be in that top tier still. I think there's people who could make arguments for all those things. But I think we got ours pretty accurate to what we really expect next year to be like.
I agree. That tier 2 is like a toss-up tier because I feel like any team of those guys can beat each other. And kind of jockey. Ole Miss is the closest to me for elite. Bama loses 104 starts on the back end alone from guys. So they're going to have to replace that back end. I think they'll do it better than LSU would. And, bringing back Milroe and, even with Kalen DeBoer coming in, I think they recruit okay. They're going to recruit okay, and they'll be fine there. They'll get guys through the portal. They're still Bama. Money's not an issue, so they'll still be fine. I want to see if they can pull off 10 wins this year and be fine. They'll be right back in their lead spot.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I mean, I think we got a pretty good list here.
I think we got it really good.
Yeah. All right. I'll be posting this on the socials, so let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'd love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. Criticize us all you want. We're the runs with the right opinions.
Exactly.
So whatever you think is wrong.
And if it's wrong, it's Dylan's fault. So.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with that.
There you go. All right. Moving on here to our final topic, sleeper teams heading into next year. I think we do, let's say, 2 teams we like.
Okay.
2 sleeper teams, both. So we'll have 4 in total.
hmm
My team. Now, how are we defining sleeper teams? Are we defining sleeper teams as far as like competing for like win a championship, competing for the playoff?
I think just outperforming their expected performance.
Okay. I'm going to say my first team will be NC State. I think they're a dark horse to win the ACC. Dave Dorian is kind of like Kentucky, where they've been so consistent
Yeah.
as far as just winning and being consistent at winning. Consistency is a word that's not allowed in the ACC as of late. Like
Yeah,
it is
no, I
so
mean,
up and down. The ACC is so just been really bad the last couple of years down year wise. Like you have like your top heavy teams, but like for the better part of like a decade, feels like they
Yeah.
haven't been. There's just hasn't been a whole lot. I mean, outside of like the Clemson run and FSU coming back to life, even FSU was down and they were really down. But NC State has been just kind of hanging around, always been there. That 7 to 9 wins, always right there. They're the model consistency.
Every single year.
And if Dorian can finally lead the Wolfpack to an ACC title, that will be very big. I mean, for the school itself, and they'll have a good challenge. If they can make a big little statement against Tennessee, they will put some guys on the map. Because outside of that, they play Tennessee, and then they have Clemson like 2 weeks later. But other than that, they don't play Florida State. You know, your next toughest game is possibly Duke. So, and then they have North Carolina at the end of the year. So, liking NC State as a sleeper team here.
Shoot, I had mine, and then I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. I'm gonna go with actually Virginia Tech.
Okay.
I mean, there's been a lot of word about Virginia Tech, but I think Virginia Tech could be really good next year if they play their cards right. They have an easier schedule too. I'll pull it up for you real quick. Yeah, I mean, they play Vanderbilt, Marshall, Old Dominion, Rutgers. That's their out of conference. Not very tough, all things considered. So I think next year they have relatively decent schedule. Their ACC schedule, their hardest game will be Clemson. They get that at home. They got a lot of guys coming back. I think Virginia Tech could easily win like 8-9 games next year.
Oh,
like, obviously
they have to play their cards right. But I do think I love where they're going. And if Virginia football can come back to life at any one of the schools, I'm all for it. All for it.
I'm just saying with their schedule, they're gonna probably start out 4-0 before they go to Miami. And then they play at Stanford, home game against Boston College, home game against Georgia Tech, to Syracuse, Clemson at home, at Duke, and then Virginia at home. I think they can win 8 games on that schedule, 8-9 games on that schedule easily.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Obviously not a playoff contender, but, you know, you got to build toward it.
My second team would be probably trying to think here who it was. I'm interested to see what West Virginia does.
Yeah.
They have plus 1,900 odds to win the conference. I mean, the Big 12 will be an absolute crapshoot to see who wants to actually come out and win that. If they bring Garrett Green back, they gained so much momentum going into last year.
Yeah.
Even West Virginia. I could put the Big 12 as its own. But actually, you know what? I'm going to scrap West Virginia. I'd like West Virginia. I think they're going to be good. I don't know if they're playoff ready, but we'll see. You never know. Utah. I'm going to go Utah. Best odds to win the conference. They get Cam Rising back for a final year. I mean, they immediately go to a different conference and become the best odds to win it all. What does that tell you? And you know, nobody ever wants to play Utah because Utah is a gritty, just run it down your throat, tough, smash mouth, Kyle Whittingham style football. And now that you get Rising back for the year, because quarterback play really killed that team down the stretch with Bryson Barnes. He had a nice little story, but it just wasn't a whole lot they could do the quarterback spot. So I do like how they get Rising back, and immediately it shows. So I mean, if they can sneak, I think they could be a playoff team if they play their cards right here.
That's a good pick.
I mean, they have been the.
Sorry.
It's just my final thought. They have been they haven't even had like the best talent, years prior, and they were playing in the Rose Bowl and winning the Pac-12 title.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
don't
yeah,
get to
that's-
last year, they were back-to-back Pac-12 champs.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
Utah.
that's pretty good pick. I'm going to go with Texas Tech. Texas Tech, I think, has a pretty good. They won 7 games last year, including a bowl game. So not exactly the world's greatest season, but a lot of that had to do with injury at quarterback. I think next year they're going to be a lot better. Taj Brooks could easily be a top rusher in the country next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could win like 8-9 games. I think their over under is 8.5. I think they can take the over on that. Their schedule's not too hard. The Big 12 is kind of wide open right now too.
Oh, it's very wide open. Kansas
Yeah,
has the third best odds in football.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
So Kansas, another sleeper team. Actually, if you just want to, I'm telling you, you can put the entire Big 12 as its own sleeper team.
They're all sleepers.
They're
Really,
all
because
sleeper
nobody.
teams.
It's really wide open.
All wide open.
Like obviously, we're talking about how Utah's the favorite, but Utah's the favorite because we really have no idea what to expect at all.
I mean, there is not a drop off until after West Virginia plus 1900. I mean, they're all clumped together.
Yeah, this is the new Big 12 or the new Pac-12.
Yeah,
like this is going to be the cannibal conference.
They will eat each other alive, and I'm all for it.
Oh,
well, it doesn't. Well, see now you're able to do that because how my teams are allowed in.
Yeah,
this will only be the only cool part, maybe with like how many, like we go to 12 to 14. But again, it dilutes the regular season back to that conversation because you're now able to just eat each other apart. But you'll still make the playoff if you go 8-4 now.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So now, because now you're gonna have a debate about who your quality losses now is now going to become a thing. Quality losses will become a thing now.
It was already becoming a thing too,
and now it will be for sure a thing.
Yeah,
because now you're going to look at well, you lost to Kansas State, but you lost to Auburn. That's a tough one.
Yeah,
we're going to have to decide now which loss was better. When did that become a thing? When is that ever a good thing? So
I
don't know. But any final thoughts here before we round out the episode?
No, I think that's everything. I mean, I like my picks a lot personally.
Yeah, I mean, I love mine. I always like mine. So, well, if that's everything, and I think that is, we will be concluding today's episode. But make sure you guys are subscribing to the podcast. Remember, we're trying to get those numbers up, and we can only do that if you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share it to anybody else that might be a fan. Always looking to grow the pod. Make sure you guys are also following us on Spotify, if you can, on YouTube, or just do both, because why not? That would really help us out a lot, and helps you guys because we get to produce more stuff for you. We'll be back next week. You got to get back here in consistency here.
Yeah.
So we'll be back next week.
We're trying to build it back. There's just not too much to talk about right at the moment because we're in the middle of the slow part of the year for college football.
There's always stuff to talk about. We just got to be
consistent. There's stuff to talk about.
Got to be consistent, Dylan. We got this. There's always stuff. There's always stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll be back next week with whatever we can talk about. LOL.
Yeah.
And subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Yep. All right. See you guys.